Welcome to Echoes and Roots. I'm Sabine, and I guide you back to nature, to your inner wisdom, and our ancestral ways of living in harmony with Mother Earth and the cosmos. Welcome, everybody. Today, I am going to talk about how to enjoy and create your parenting journey as a highly sensitive person. Now, this is part of a series that I'm talking on how to thrive as a sensitive. I've done already one podcast on generally tips and tricks, how you can create a life for a sensitive to really bring out this superpower in you, but also how to deal with the overstimulation. Today we talk about the parenting journey, what it is like to have children as a sensitive. And then the next podcast, we're going to talk about the highly sensitive child. Now, I'm a highly sensitive, obviously, as I'm talking about this topic. I'm a parent too of two boys, aged 10 and 13 now, also sensitive. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and there's many things I wish I would have known before I got on this journey. There's many things I found out. This is like sometimes life, you find out things. Parenting teaches you a couple of things. And today I kind of got together all my observations, my tips for you on this journey. Because as highly sensitive, we are really very equipped to be, we are empaths, to feel with our children, to tune into our children. To really create beautiful bonds with them. At the same time, the parenting journey can be very overstimulating, and there can be many infringements on our needs and our boundaries. That's why we're talking about this. Now, before we start, I actually want us to come back to the body for a moment. And that's the work I'm teaching in my courses, how to regulate your emotions, your energy, through your body. So I invite you to take a moment, and we're gonna stimulate an acupuncture point that I really love, spleen 21. It's called the Da Bao, the Great Embrace. I'm gonna tell you a bit more about it. So it is on the sides of your body, on the ribs, and it's in the 6th intercostal space. So when you come down from your armpits, you can count down just 6 spaces, and then I want you to cross your arms and just bring your hands over this space. And then to just close your eyes and feel for a moment, really come to your body. Feel your breath. Now this space, you can use a bit your fingers, and when we massage in between the rib spaces, they're very tender, so I invite you to be really gentle and tender to yourself. Very often this place, spleen 21, it's a bit painful, it's a bit tender. You can apply a little bit of a very gentle massage with your fingers, or you can just hold it, whatever you need in this moment. So this point is the last point on the spleen channel, and the spleen channel is really the channel that distributes the nourishing energy from our food and drinks throughout the body, and it's really it's the earth element. It's like a very motherly channel and energy, and this point is called the Great Embrace because it really connects us to being held by the mother as well as the father. So you're really embraced, and you can imagine you're embraced by Mother Earth, by the Divine Mother, by your own mother, by the feminine energy, and you are really held here and you are nourished here. Spleen channel is all about nourishing. It's about grounding, nourishing us. And here you feel this beautiful embrace of the mother, which also connects you to the embrace of the father. It's also a very protective pose. It's this hugging of yourself. And when you need a moment for yourself, you can do this. Just come back, also feeling your breath. Feel your hand, your fingers touching the sides of your ribs. Feel how your breath extends the ribcage. How the prana chi moves through your body, which also helps the flow of the chi of the spleen, the nourishing chi from our food to flow around. So the breath, coming from the lungs and the spleen are also connected in what we call tie-in. This is the mother and the father. The father is the chi, the breath, the air of God. And the mother, the nourishing we take in through what she grows here, our food, and her waters that we drink. And how this life force circles through you, how the abundance of the mother circles through you and also holds you. And now we're gonna begin this conversation. Now, as a start, I want to read to you a list, which is kind of like a bit of a checklist to see if you really fall into this category of being a highly sensitive person, because sometimes, of course, we know intuitively, but sometimes it's nice to get a couple of points, especially points we haven't thought about, that we resonate with, and it actually shows us, yes, I am an empath on this journey, and this is what I experience as a parent. Now, it's coming from a German book. It's called Hochsensible Mütter, Highly Sensitive Mothers. I own a lot of books on high sensitivity in all kind of areas, and they have been extremely helpful. I've owned tons of books on the children's side, like highly sensitive kids, highly sensitive people in work as well, because this is really amazing, as we sometimes really shy away from seeing our own competence, from being confident, from having a good negotiation skill, from standing up for what we want in salary negotiations, all these things. So yeah, now this book, these are things that you might experience as a parent, as a sensitive parent. Starting off with I often feel, okay, I'm translating this from German. As soon as my brain is like, okay. I often feel overwhelmed by the constant presence that is asked from me. And specifically, think back, a lot of these points, I've read this book when I had baby and toddlers, that kind of age. Now, for me, as my children are older, I have much more time for myself. So I feel different about these points, but this is really when you start out specifically on this journey of parenting, you will come up with a lot of these things. Now, the moods of my children influence me very strongly. It can become too tied to limiting when my child constantly needs physical contact with me. I often think I am not a good enough parent. I think a lot about how I should be as a parent. When my child cries, I physically suffer in my body. I try to avoid situations that are unpredictable. I feel very responsible for everything that happens to my child. I am very responsible. If a lot is going on, I quickly get overwhelmed and moody. I often feel very guilty because I believe I cannot give my child what it needs according to my own beliefs. I long for more time for myself. I'm often tired and exhausted. I don't feel I can be acting authentically with my child in the presence of others. I'm often unsure if I meet all the needs of my child. baby groups, kids groups, meetings with other mothers and their babies bore me. I get bored. I can very well feel into somebody else and often think what they feel and think. I find it hard to express my concerns or my opinions towards teachers of my child or other caregivers because I don't want to upset anyone. It is very hard for me to be consequent in my parenting. I take critique very personal. Now, got the list. And now we're going to talk about these are things we can experience as highly sensitive people, because as we tend to feel into everything very deeply, we often also tend to think about what our actions are causing, like this kind of really mental overload, the worrying, the like, am I good enough as a parent? Is this right what I'm doing? Like, is my child okay? Like, that's why I also just did a point on the spleen channel. The spleen channel, if it's not in balance, can lead to over worry. So for us doing things, actually the spleen channel has to do with us nourishing ourselves, with us doing things that we really love, with like singing, like cooking, just self-pampering, having a bath. So that is really important to also get out of this mental construct of the constant thinking, am I doing the right thing here as the parent? Am I good enough as the parent? Am I fulfilling all the needs of my child? Is my child okay? All these things. Now, I'm gonna go down a list now of things that I can, of course, in my years of parenting, that really influence the journey of the parenting as a highly sensitive, and that make it easier, or at least when you are aware of it, you can start to change the circumstances to make your journey more enjoyable and easier for yourself. Because, as I said, sensitivity is a superpower. We are very equipped to really feel into children and to really raise them in a way where they can bring out their own gifts, where they can really shine in the world, where they can experience themselves, get to know themselves. We are very equipped for that. But at the same time, we shouldn't be burning out and going over all our limits and boundaries. So now, I'm going to start with external influences for your parenting journey. First thing, and the most important thing actually, to choose very well with whom you're going to have children. Your partner. Because that partner, as you are so energetically connected with that person will have a massive influence also on your emotional state and your mental state. And how the partnership is going to have a massively impact also on your children. So how harmonious and stress-free are the interactions with your partner? And how harmonious and stress-free is the home? This is absolutely vital for your nervous system. That you are with someone where your nervous system feels at peace. Really, really vital if you want to bring in a child and have a peaceful parenting journey as much as you can, because you cannot control the character of your child. And often when you are highly sensitive, because it's a genetic trait, the chances are very high your children will be highly sensitive. And a highly sensitive child, I'm going to talk about this in the next class, in the next podcast, is not necessarily an easy child to parent. There's going to be emotions all over the place. They're going to be extremely self-aware. They're going to feel everything deeply. They're going to have a lot of, potentially, they might have a lot of fears, anxiety, all these things. They might have big emotions. They are not necessarily easy to parent. And you need to make it better for everybody. The relationship with your partner needs to be rock solid and needs to be calm and supportive. The next thing is really to have a conversation before you have children. Before you have children, have a conversation and to think yourself about what are my values in parenting. How do I want to raise my children, and does this align actually with the parenting styles that my partner has in mind? Because there are very different parenting styles out there. And yes, sometimes when you have children, you're going to discover a little bit actually how you are as a parent, but we are shaped. We are shaped by how we grew up. We are shaped by our belief system. We are shaped by our traumas. And then each child is different. So you're going to have a little bit different parenting for each child because of what their character kind of brings out and needs. But still, if you have total different ideas how you're going to raise your children and what your values are, it's going to be a tough journey. And then the next thing is how you're going to share the parenting load, because as a highly sensitive, you do need more time alone. You're going to be amazing, like really like feeling into your children, like making sure all their needs are met, but you need more time alone. You need to think about, where is my support network that allows me, that I have time where I can just get off the overstimulation and get off the constant need of my children, because the children, when they're small, they will constantly hanging on you and constantly wanting you, and this can very quickly crash the boundaries of a highly sensitive person. So how are you going to divide that parenting with your partner? And if your partner, because sensitives fight each other, if your partner is sensitive, how are you both going to make sure that you both have time for yourself? And that doesn't mean necessarily also time as a couple, because, well, actually from what I found, often highly sensitives just also need time by themselves for their own hobbies, their own things, without the partner, without the kids. So how are you going to make sure you have that? Discuss before you have the children, so you don't have a bad quant awakening once a child is there. Yeah. Next thing, very important, what are your values? Are you living something that doesn't conform to your values? This is terrible for highly sensitive. We cannot live for a long time something that doesn't conform to our values. So that's why I'm saying discuss with your partner. If your partner has total different values, it's not a good recipe. But also yourself, are you living your values? Can you live your values? So there's some important things to ask. Next thing, your living situation. So let's go back. Kids, especially when they're small, kids are noisy. Kids have a lot of energy. Kids create a lot of mess everywhere. Kids don't, of course, always going to listen. Kids are going to push the boundaries. So your living situation, the house you're living in, I'm talking about, are you accounting for that you need some space where the overstimulation gets down? And first figure out, what are your real triggers when it comes to overstimulation? Is it like noise level? Is it things like mess when things are not tidy? Is it things like if somebody is constantly needing you? Constantly, like kids constantly want me touching mama, like 1,000,000 times a day. So what are your big triggers? And then making sure that the way you live, that you account for, okay, how can I create a bit more calmer nervous system here? So kids are kids. So, and nature is very amazing for children, for ourselves as well. So are you having nature around you? Are you having a garden? Do you have space where the kids can be outside, outdoors? Do they have their own space where they can just go crazy at times? Do they have a place where they get all their energy out? That's why, like, for us, it's important to think about, am I going to stay in the city in a small apartment? Or am I going to do something different that is just better suited for the life of a highly sensitive? Just even if you have some outside space, you have a little bit garden where you can calm down and relax, things like that. Think about that. Think about what you will need and also what the kids will need, because kids have tons of energy, and that energy needs to get out somehow. So Either city people, what do? They drive their kids from one activity to the other. So are you think about a lot of things on your schedule, right? Very stressful for highly sensitive. Are you going to be a city mom or dad and constantly driving your kids from A to B to C to D just so they get their energy out because they need to be in 50 sports? Or are you going to be living somewhere where you can just send them out the door and there's some other kids that they can play with, because kids are social normal, right? Kids need to have friends and fun and all these things. Do you have that environment? I cannot tell you how valuable it is when you, for instance, live in a street with tons of other children where they can play outdoors and you just like out of the house. Because also, that's another thing. Your kids might be sensitive too, like I have sensitive kids, but they are extroverts. And it is crazy for me as an introvert because they've never 1 second kind of alone. Like I always had 2 boys, right? I always had not just 2 boys in the home, I had like 5 little boys of age, like 6 or whatever, or smaller in the home, running around, jumping from A to B with their little swords and all kind of things, screaming on top of them. And you cannot imagine how good it is to have an outdoor space, a trampoline or a street where there is tons of other kids and just be outdoors with that kind of stuff. Because think about that. Also, if your children going to turn out to be very social and you like, oh my God, sometimes you're quiet, peace. Also, another thing with the living situation, for instance, like also when you don't like mess, right? Because the thing is, you need to think about this. You need to sometimes let your kids be kids. It's not going to help that you constantly tell them like, be quiet, don't run. They have so much energy. They need to have some spaces where they can let this energy out. It is good to think about what are going to be my rules, my hard rules, like inside the home, right? Like inside the home, we use like an indoor voice. And I tell you, I've been telling this to my kids for years and it's still not working. But now they're old. They're too old anymore. They run through the house with like costumes and all kind of things. But so the problem got solved by itself. You need to think about a couple of rules, because with kids, they're not going to follow like 1,000,001 rules. Couple of hard rules, how you create some sort of sanity in your home and some sort of respect towards each other, right? And some sort of peaceful getting along with each other. So a couple of rules, but then also think about how do I also provide an environment where my kids can let out their steam, so that then when we are home, everybody can just also relax a little bit. So think about that. Yes, and then also the living situation, for instance, open spaces, right? Open kitchen, living room, like, is this amazing when your kids have the toys all over the place and jump from A to B and all kind of things. Build forts with, oh my God, like when I think back, I was just like, yep. Build forts with your couch. And are you going to have a very expensive design couch? I mean, kids are kids. So, and you need to let them be kids as well, because it is fun. Like, yeah, you cannot just park them non-stop in front of the screen. You also need to let them have like their play, their imaginary play, and that imaginary play is usually like everything's all over the place. So yeah, think about where can they do this and where do you have your space. If, for instance, if tidiness is a thing for you, like for me, like where is a space that is all nice and tidy and there is no toys and no mess. So yeah, fun like that. Next thing, of course, caregiving, own time balance, really important. How do you create the balance between you being constantly needed and you having time for yourself and time for also highly sensitive? We are creative, we have our projects. We want to also be inspired by the world and by our own creativity. We have need of space for that. And it's not the same to like do a creative project with a 4-year-old and you just having time, uninterrupted time to actually do something creative that you really enjoy. So these things are not the same. And then also the thing is, being with the children, like I was a stay-home mom and it was a crazy idea. I mean, I felt I needed it at the time, but would I do it again? Nope. But yeah, it was an experience. But the overstimulation was intense. So you need to think about where is my balance? Like, how peaceful is it at my work? Like, literally. And if you don't have a peaceful work, that is a big issue, because running a family and having a very stressful job, wow, that is a recipe for disaster. So somewhere there needs to be a space that is just easy peasy smooth as much as possible, and less, not so much overstimulation. So how you going to create that balance, and really discussing that before you have children and thinking about it, and then seeing, of course, things always change once you have children. Like, yeah, things change, but how we feel. But we sometimes, as highly sensitive, we can literally give up all our needs just because we feel so responsible. And we just want to be there for our children and cater to all of their needs. But in the end, we're forgetting ourselves. And then we are really becoming at times the crazy parent, because, like, oh my God, when our boundaries are infringed upon for too long, we literally, like, it's not good. It's just not good. We become the crazy parent that loses it, literally. Highly sensitive people can't lose it. And that's not a good thing. So it's better to not constantly just cater to everybody else, but to put yourself first. So your support circle is part of that too. So when you look at the work-life balance, what is your support circle? You will need that. As I said, you will need time for yourself, and not feeling guilty for taking time for yourself. Nope, you are an empath. You're doing a lot of work just by feeling into people's emotions and being there for them and helping them to connect back more to their emotions and what's going on. But yep, you also need time for yourself. And where is your support network? What is your support network? Where are the grandparents? Where is the extended family? Like, now, we've never raised children like now. We've had communities that raised children. It wasn't like this nuclear family like now, where there's so much stress on just the parents. So how are you going to build your support network? To have people, and accept help as well. That's another thing as a highly sensitive. Sometimes it's hard for us to accept help and to give our children away and to trust it's all going to be fine. But that's important. It's important to accept help. And then with the time that you're going to create for yourself, having the time for something that gives you energy, your adult time, your time for your own passions. Because that, the moment we pour into that, we again have more energy in all other areas of our life. And that's always important, sensitive or not. But having time for our passions, for something that really gives us energy. Because parenting sometimes can be very draining. So, yeah. Now, external factors as well. Let's look for a moment what is very overstimulating to us, what you run into as parenting. Not enough sleep. So you're going to prioritize your sleep. Really important. Nobody cares how long you stay up. You're going to prioritize the sleep. You're going to go, like, I can tell you how long, for many years, I went to bed with the kids, because, yep, sleep was the most important thing, because when we haven't slept enough, oh my God, the mood is done. God. So it's better to just get as much sleep in as you can. Sleep is great. Sleep is great. Next overstimulation thing, neglecting your own needs. Yep. And the needs of your body. Nope, you're not going to do that. You're going to listen to your needs and to your body, right? Because that's why it's important to always feel into the body, because we can feel the overstimulation coming. And I was like, oh, I need to take a time out. It's not the time out for the children. It is a time out for the parent, actually, that we need. A different concept. I was like, oh, I need a moment for myself. So then, oh my God, yes, the next thing, the mental control. This is like, I'm telling this for all my clients and my listeners. It's like, who controls your mind controls you. We have tons of thoughts in our minds, that are not even from us, created thought patterns by all the things we're constantly consuming in the consumerism society. But also, as the highly sensitive person, right, we can just overanalyze every little situation, everything in the situation. We overanalyze what the kid is feeling and needing and wanting. We overanalyze what all the other parents think about us and the teachers think, and this situation and that situation, and what should we decide here. And oh my god, that's why working with your spleen, with the spleen, also when you work with that meridian, with that organ, that helps you to not overanalyze, to not worry all the time. What is important for the spleen? Nourishing foods. And sometimes so important as a mother, because we feed everybody and we don't eat. We don't eat in peace. Nope, because we're feeding everybody else. Nope, you're gonna eat in peace. Like, honestly, I gave up some things my parents don't understand, because I was like, I'm prioritizing. I'm also eating and sitting in peace, and I'm fine if my children already get up and do whatever they want to do when they are done, because I still want to enjoy my meal and sit here in peace. But yeah, so nourishing food, singing is very gardening. That's something is very calming. Have some nature around you. Yeah, these are all things to nourish the spleen, and in general, self-care. So that also gets us out of the over worrying, the constant, like, the constant, how do you call this, the hamster wheel, like, where we were, are we good enough as a parent, have we done this right and that right? And so it's not caring about what other people think and just doing your journey. And also, we can have very high expectations on ourselves as well. Is getting off the expectations and being like, you can never make it perfect as a parent. We have this whole psychology that nowadays it's like blaming everything on the parent. But in the end of the day, it's a soul's journey. Something has to happen so you can like experience your things, growth. And every parent, generally parents try their best. Yeah, they really try their best, but you can only do so much. And yeah, some things are just not going to be great, and some decisions are not going to be great, and yeah, it's just what it is. But not trying to be perfect, really important. Then being distracted. Wow, this was a really interesting point that leads to a kind of overstimulation. Yeah, being in the moment, actually. So when we engage with our children, to be there in the moment. Like, I had this so much. Yeah, I was there with my children all the time, but I was like thinking of all kind of things and planning ahead, worrying about this and that, rather than just being there. Like, okay, if I take time to play with my kid, I'm just enjoying it. And I can tell you something is really fun. Like when the kids are little, and we don't have to, they should really be learning how to entertain themselves with their friends anyway. But that's why it's great. Other kids around is great, because they will entertain each other. They will play with each other. But anyway, sometimes when we do engage, when we play with them, it can be a lot of fun. Like, yeah, it brings a lot of fun and joy in our life. And this childlike, oh my God, it's like a childlike innocence they have, and it's a curiosity, and oh my god, I miss it sometimes. Like, it is intense when you have toddlers, but sometimes I miss my little toddlers, because it was just like they are always up for stuff. It's not like a teenager who's not up for anything, but they're always up for things, and it's just like they make everything like a little love, and there's so much imagination, and you can really cool, like when you go, like we went on a lot of trips, like camping and being really outdoorsy, and we lived in the States. It was amazing. It was so amazing there with the toddlers and small kids, because yeah, so many adventures and outdoors adventures specifically. So yeah, it's fun. So allow yourself to also have some fun with your kids, and not worry about, oh, when do I need to do the dinner, or when is dinner happening, and yeah, all these things. Your calendar. How full do you want your calendar to be as a highly sensitive? Especially with kids, we can put them up in 1,000,001 activities, and then you are just becoming the parent that is like, you don't have a weekend. I tell you now, with my kids and soccer, like, I'm I'm always thinking, who came up with this? Why does any parent want to be at 8 in the morning on a Saturday at the soccer pitch somewhere? I was like, the kids don't want to be there. At 8 in the morning, the parent doesn't want to be there. Like, why we created a crazy society like this? But it is like that. And so we really think about, are you just going to be from constantly A to B, rushing here and there? And yeah, how full do you really want to put that calendar? And that's why I'm saying, if you have your kids grow up in an environment where there's a lot of other kids, where there's a lot of free outdoor play, like really, I'm so happy. When my kids were little, there was so much free outdoor play. They were just entertained. We didn't need to sign them up into anything because they were entertained. But then the older the kids get, you see, they all get scheduled into activities, and then there's no more kid available for anything. That was a shame. But we also had the COVID years where there were no activities going on, which was actually a great thing, because honestly, in those years, the kids were just playing outdoors all the time. All the kids were off. There was nothing going on. They were just also out of the house, because the whole COVID situation. So it's like, I hate you guys playing on the street. No cars either, because nobody's going anywhere. Yeah, it was actually, for the kids, I think it was a fun time. But yeah, we were also in that environment where everybody was relaxed in that way and just let the kids do their stuff. And not. Next thing, how many kids and how close together? How many kids can your nervous system handle? So I know highly sensitive people who have like 5 kids, and I also know highly sensitive people who just have 1 child, or no child. But no, generally highly sensitive people tend to have children because they have a connection to children. But the overstimulation can get crazy. So then you really need to think about, okay, how am I managing this with my partner? How supportive is my partner? How much are we a team together? How is the balance? Do we have a larger support network? It's very different when you have a larger support network and your children are off to like aunties, or grandparents and all kind of things. So, and you have a bit more free time to yourself as well. And also how close you want your kids together in age. Because in general, I mean, in theory, in the books for highly sensitive, it is a bit easier if there's a bigger age gap between the kids. Because then your older child is already much more independent, and they're also like less energetic and less loud and all the things. But of course, having kids close together, it is intense. It is very intense. But they can play together. They can also argue with each other. Don't forget that one. There is like great love and great like sibling rivalry at times. And this is another thing. So the more you and your partner are a team, this is really important, because if you're not a team, the kids will play you. This is just, kids are beautiful, and this is not a bad thing. This is not an evil bad thing they're doing, but they will. If parents are really not aligned on their parenting strategy and on their values and their opinions, if the parents argue a lot with each other, the kid will feel in between sides and will like start to, really play towards one or the other person. It might come out just out of this, where is the love, where is the safety, it might come out of that. But yeah, so you really ought to be a good team together. And then see if you have kids closer in age, is that something that you're just going to enjoy and you can handle? Is it something you can handle together? There is couples, what I see with the people that really have a lot of children, and it goes really well as a family. I mean, really well, right? There's always stuff happening, but it generally goes well is where the parents are really aligned with each other. They're generally really in love. They're very supportive of each other. They really work together as a team. And then it can be an enjoyable, also as a highly sensitive, it can be an enjoyable experience. Next thing, our last thing on the list of external influences that make our parenting journey. We do need a bit more time to adjust to new situations. So this just goes with the sensitivity, and so big changes like becoming a first-time mom, there are chances, of course, to go into postnatal depression and these kind of things, specifically because there's all of a sudden so much demand on you, you don't have enough sleep, you have all this overstimulation happening. Now, I want you to really care very well for you and to plan for the period, specifically the period after you have a child. No matter if it's the first, the second, the third. So in that period, you need maximum support. The first couple of months after birth, you need all the support you can. So that means that you're gonna have as much nourishing food as possible that already pre-cooked, somebody's cooking for you, that you nourish because your blood, that's another thing. Postnatal depression has a lot to do also with blood deficiency. And blood deficiency can be very well prevented through the right diet. And so really nourishing like bone broth, and like chicken, so really thing like nourishing food for the blood has a lot to do with bones. So that has a lot to do also with diet that involves the meat. But there's other things as well that can be done, dark leafy greens. But like one thing is the nourishing food. Then also you just allowing yourself to adjust slowly to that new period. You having some time for self-care for yourself. You getting general support. You having also space to talk with people about your emotions and all the things you're feeling, and all the things you're all of a sudden feeling, because there's this new person that you feel everything of as well, this child that you tune into, like all of their emotions and and what it also does in your body when you're constantly being needed physically as well. So I want you to be really, really nice and really gentle and to plan for that period to have a maximum support after birth. It's important. And to learn already beforehand how to work with your energy. Like I had two so different experiences of my births. Like the first one, I definitely had postnatal depression. Second birth, I had already found meridian yoga, which I do, which really stimulates all the meridians. It helps to regulate the nervous system. And I was doing that the whole time throughout the whole pregnancy. I knew already back then, because it's based on Chinese medicine. So I learned a lot about diet as well and how to prepare for the months after. So it was, after the second birth was a total different experience, energy wise for me, and mood wise and mental health wise and everything. But of course, it's also the first time adjustment is bigger. The first time it's like, oh, I was this free person, and like, whoa, I am no longer this kind of free person. So planning for that. Now, internal, what can we do with our internal world to help us on this journey? So our heightened perception, because we pick up everything, right, what everybody thinks and feels, can lead to insecurity as a parent. And here I want you to just be aware of that, so you can work with that, because not always what you perceive necessarily is the truth, in the sense of that people really think that about us. To really let it go of like this idea you have to be the perfect parent or you have to be a certain way as a parent. And to become, also security comes of course with time in the end of the day. I mean, the longer you're a parent, the more secure you are. You're going to be totally different with the second child, the third child, etc. than with the first child. The first child is like, whoa, that's totally new. It's like, what's that now? Yeah. Then the high expectations. Nope. Just let go of the high expectations. Not good. It's just, it's gonna be a bumpy road. Your children are here to really trigger things in you. They're the people that generally can trigger us the most. And so it's gonna be an interesting road at the parenting journey. So we're letting go of the high expectation. The inner critic, same thing. Like really how we talk to ourselves, that's another thing of the spleen, the self-care. It's like really talking nicely to ourselves. Then also, wow, this is an important point, distance to what's happening, detachment. Because we take everything in so much, and also sometimes like what our kids are experiencing or feeling. If they have an accident, like it feels as, oh my God, you feel it yourself in your body. If they cry a lot, if they're in distress, if they have worry, if there's things going on in school with them, we feel it all. We feel it all. And we feel it all in general with people. So we need to have more boundaries. We need to develop some distance to what's happening. Otherwise, we can really overreact, become overprotective as well. I need to develop some detachment from certain situations and from all these emotions of everybody. And that's in general in life. That's with everything that's going on with the overstimulation, is to develop a certain distance to it, to not allow it to let it come so close, and to also learn as a parent to, especially as a mom, to some children need to sometimes go through their own struggles, and it's really hard. It's really hard to experience as a highly sensitive, because you kind of want to take all the pain and all their anxiety and the fears they have away from them. And we want them to never suffer, never have anything bad happening to them, and yeah, but they are on a journey themselves, and there will be things happening in their life, and to get a little bit more detachment to that. Okay, emotional management. Yep. We have to talk about the emotional management, because we're gonna have all kind of emotions as sensitive parents. We're gonna take on the emotions of our children. That's what I'm saying. When they are getting very angry or very fearful, very upset, we're gonna take it on. We're also going to have a lot of emotions about our child's behavior, especially out in public, because we have all these thought things going on. Oh my God, like are we perfect? Like, how does my family look? Like all these things. How's my child behaving? When the child first time has a little battle at the sand pit with another child, and it's going to get a bit rowdy. Oh my God, sometimes I feel like don't have the two mothers deal with it. Have the fathers deal with it, because if you have two sensitive mothers deal with like two toddlers fighting with each other at the playground, oh my God. I was like, you give that to the father. Because that's why it's great to have men, because sometimes they can be really just like, sometimes they can be more calm about certain things. Unless it's sport and soccer, then, oh my God. They might not be calm either, but some other things they can have a bit more calm approach, depending on there. But yeah, but we do need to know emotional regulation techniques. Next point: forgetting yourself over your sense of duty, because we are very dutiful. But I don't want you to forget yourself. Nope. You have to learn to put yourself first. As hard as this is, it seems very hard, sounds easy, but you really have to learn to put yourself first, because if you are regulated, if you're calm, if you're present, you can be a much better parent in a way. You can show up much better for yourself and for others. So it needs to be yourself first. Your own state of mind, your own state of emotions. And then boundaries. Wow, I can't say this more. The boundaries is a really big thing, because also as children are very physically needy, there's gonna be a lot of pull on even our physical boundaries. Because it's highly sensitive, we don't want constant infringement into our boundaries. I think sometimes we get like very, very protective of our space, because we need that protection of our space. So how do you have times where you don't have physically someone constantly needing you, constantly pulling on you, where you just have like, well, I have my own space. I have my own body. This is my own body. This is not just a machine that produces milk for my child, or cuddles, or like comfort, like all those things. Like, this is also still my body. So having some, like developing some space, some boundaries in the physical sense, some time for yourself. But then also, of course, the emotional and energetic boundaries. You really ought to have an energetic practice and an emotional, like some sort of nervous system regulation practice. How are you going to deal with all these intense emotions going to come up on you? How are you going to regulate yourself? And also saying no at times. Respecting your own needs. Not having to be there for everybody all the time. Now we're going to do another point, another acupuncture point. And that one is to really, it's a point to calm down, because that's what we at times need with all the emotions. Specifically, it's also a point for sleep, because that's again shutting off the mind, getting into sleep. Is also a great point for children to do when they have anxiety, for them when they need support to go to sleep, because we have such an incredible intuition. That is our superpower with our children. We really can feel into their emotions, and we really can give them that support of being emotionally supported and being there when they go through more difficult situations, and helping them also, like the techniques that we are learning to regulate ourselves, to be in touch with ourselves, with our body, in our emotions and what's going on in the body. That's also, we can teach that to them, and it helps them a lot. The way how we connect to nature, the way how we deeply connect to creativity, the way how we find passion and things. That's why I'm saying have your own passions. Continue to have your own passions as a parent, because you're going to be an inspiration to your children. It's no inspiration if you give up yourself. As a parent, being a parent is not the mission. Being a parent is just an experience you can have on this planet. But you will have your own gifts for your own individual mission on this planet. And you can be a great inspiration to others when you find the right balance between being there for your family, but also being there for your own creative projects. Now, okay, we're going to do Heart 7 Chinmen. So, on your wrist. Let's warm up the wrist first. So you're just going to rub around your wrist. Warming them. And then we're going to come on the inside, inner wrist crease, on the side of your little finger, on the side. Now you're going to come to the pisiform board, and you have a tendon here, and you're going to be on the inside of the tendon. And here you just hold just where the wrist crease is, and hold this point. This is Heart 7, really gentle. Acupressure is gentle. It's feeling yourself, feeling your body. We don't need much pressure for this. This point helps you to calm down. You can feel also how you can breathe deeper, because the heart, of course, is connected to the lungs as well. Gets you out of your head. It's really great to calm down anxiety. I'm going to do it on the other side as well. So you're going to warm up your wrist. Find inside of your arm, inside of your wrist, along the little finger on the side. Find the tendon come more towards the inside of your arm, just under the hollow under your pisiform bone. And the wrist crease. Then you just hold this point. Feeling into it. Giving yourself a moment of rest. connecting to your body. Also as a parent, it's really important to have moments throughout the day where you deeply connect to your body, where you like dance, shake it out, take a couple of deep breaths, but always coming back into your body. Out of the head. Just letting the emotions also move when we shake it. We put on music, that's also fun for kids. And when we take a couple of deep breaths, because we need that. We need that. That brings us to some recommendations I want to give you at the end of this podcast. So first thing, it's a kind of a sum up of what I already said. First thing first, pour into yourself. As a highly sensitive person, self-care, be present. So stopping the thought carousel, be present with yourself, in your life, in your body. And make time for yourself. If you just take one thing away from this, make time for yourself. Have dates with yourself. Then develop a routine for emotional regulation. So there is an ongoing routine that we ideally have. And again, don't be too hard, don't be too strict. Just see what fits into when you have small kids. Your routine is going to be jumping very quick. When you have older kids, it's going to be different. But something like breathwork, meditation, the yoga you go to, good food, doing things slow, something on an ongoing basis that help you on an ongoing basis to emotionally release. But then also, of course, for in the moment, when emotions get out of hand, specifically arguments, what I think is really important for us, because we get so much into our space in terms of similar, is to create space between you and the other person. So when you see, oh my God, it's getting so loud, all these kids here, or I have an argument with my teenager, whatever, stepping out of it and physically removing yourself from the situation, getting into a different place, different room, and teaching also people boundaries instead of like, now I'm taking literally, and this is the timeout for the parent. Literally, I really think this is not like, this is a weird concept for kids, because they will usually just see it as like, when they're small, they just see it as like, oh my God, I'm all alone. It's a punishment. No, but I'm talking about the parenting timeout, the parent timeout. And you just go to your own space and be like, look, I need a couple of minutes for myself. I need to calm down. And then just emotions need to move. So whatever you need to do, if you need to jump around, if you need to scream into your cushion, if you have a boxing thing and you need to do hit that boxing set, whatever. Emotions, sometimes especially anger is a very deliberate. A frustration is an emotion that really, it's like moving through the body. So you need to move, and then couple of more minutes, calming down, slow breaths, whatever, calming music, whatever you need, calming down. But also like, have this sometimes with emotions, also like we are trying to suppress, but no, like whatever, scream into a cushion. Like what's like, sometimes it has to get out, because the emotions we take in can be so intense that it has to intensely also move out of the body without us getting into a crazy situation where I don't know, we throw the dishes, or they're just like, yeah, or something. So you're not doing that, so us removing ourselves from the situation, and then calming down in our own space. And then when we calm enough, we can go back, and this also gave time for everybody else to calm down, kind of thing. Yeah. So thinking about how are you gonna handle intense emotions in the moment, and how you're gonna have a practice, an ongoing practice that helps you just to release stress, because we build up stress, right? Or stress from work. And yeah, but also how you want to handle in the moment when your toddler or your teenager tells you some things to your face that you absolutely don't like. And also the triggers, right? Like Why are we triggered? Like thinking later about it. Oh my God, why am I triggered by what they're just saying? Why is it like, well, if you're disrespected, why is this triggering me? Like doing some analysis, some inner work around how we grew up and the patterns, the thought patterns we acquired is going to help a lot. Yeah. Then learning to communicate your needs. So important. Because we often, as I said, we forget our needs. We are there for everybody else. We're so dutiful. But no. We need to learn also to communicate our needs. So how can you do this? Join communication courses, get books. Yeah, learn to do that. Positive mindset, in the sense that we sometimes can get into a rut, overthinking as a highly sensitive. To develop some sort of, like, also if things are happening for the kids and we all feel it and we're like, oh my God, to develop some sort of positive outlook, faith in God, great thing. And to also always just like for us to learn new things, be inspired, like that kind of thing, because we need that. Sometimes parenting can be very boring for us because it's little people. Yeah, that's why I'm saying keep your passion projects, have a passion project, because we do need to be inspired also by other things. So get help. Can I put this, like, what did I say you should remember first? Yeah, pour into yourself and get help. It's like belongs together. Look, honestly, you cannot do it both. You cannot do everything. You don't have to do everything. There are cleaners out there. There are cooks out there. There is childcare out there, and just don't shy away from getting help. Honestly, it will save your sanity. It will save your marriage. Like, really, get help. Think about a couple of house rules that, as I said, only a couple that the kids can actually really follow, where you really think about, okay, how do we keep the stimulation down here a bit around respectfulness, noise level, mess, things like that. But allow the space, or allow the kids to be kids. So as I said, if you in your home wanted to have also like certain rules, certain things that you need for your own nervous system, think about where are the spaces where my kids can be kids, where they can be messy, where they can do art, and you don't go crazy because I don't know, like it could go everywhere, where they can like be loud, where they can jump around, where they also the physical fights, right, two boys, like where they can get out their physicality. So think about, you need to have enough outlets for that with the kids, because they should also be kids. And yeah, with that is it actually. I was just thinking. So I give yourself a big hug. This is what we did at the beginning. Big hug as a parent, because you are often, as an empath, carrying a lot for everybody in the family, and being there for everybody's needs, and also being there for everybody's emotions, and for everybody's worries and concerns. And so give yourself a big hug on that journey. Enjoy it as much as you can. So have also fun. That's important. We should never forget we're having also these little kids, bigger kids as well, for us to be reminded that there is joy and there's fun. Like I read this the other day, it's so beautiful. It was about like how the Hawaiian indigenous thought about their children, and they thought the children are there just to bring joy into life. And they really raised children in very big extended family and community settings. So of course it's much easier. But I just love that, to think about children are also there to remind us, because we sometimes as adults, we can get just so serious about life, and we totally forget to see the wonders, the miracle of life, the wonder of life. Like a child has a very specific way how they can look at life. And it's just, they're sometimes so much more closer connected to the mysteries of life, and to the truth of what this life is about, and to the beginning. And so allow us being reminded of that and they're sometimes not fearful at all. They're teaching us a lot. They're really teaching us a lot, because as adults we just we get serious, we have our fears, we just like, oh, life is also da 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 da. And then they're reminding us, no, life can also just be fun, and about friends and so many things. So about miracles, and how they look at nature, and how it's like very cute to know. So enjoy it, because as we are connecting deeply to everything, we can really feel into what our kids deeply connect with as well, when they see life from a very different perspective, and where they see the world and they see nature from a different perspective. So we can have these beautiful moments with them where they feel seen, and we realize again that life is so much more than just tasks and career and to-do lists and all the things. So with that, I'll let you go. Thanks so much for listening, and if you're in the Amsterdam area, I have a practice for highly sensitive adults and kids, acupuncture practice. I have a lot of courses, how to connect you back to nature, to your body, and to your own beauty within, in so many ways, your own gifts within. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye. Follow me on Instagram at Echoes and Roots for grounded spirituality, ancient wisdom, and nature-based living.